Today on Locked on Rockies, the science behind Coors Field and the altitude. How much of an impact does it play, not just on the field, but off the field? A really good piece we got to talk about.
You are Locked on Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked on Rockies podcast for today, the 21st day of March in the year 2025. I'm your host of the Locked on Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked on Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, guess what? You are in the right spot, because that's what we do around here each and every day, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Again, thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. Really do appreciate that. Find us on those streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show. You can fire off your Rockies hot takes. You can let me know what's on your mind when it comes to the Colorado Rockies. Today, we'll recap the game yesterday a little bit, the big part of the big stuff of it, the big fun. Home runs. Home runs are always a good time. So we'll dive into that. And then, of course, there is a really good piece from Manny Randhawa on MLB.com, the Rockies website, that I really can't. If you have it's a bit of a long one, but if you have the time to go through and read it, if you've been curious about really, if you like to know the science, if you like to know, this has multiple interviews with some of the big names involved in trying to crack the code of winning and success at Coors Field. Like I said, this piece is very, very good. We're not going to have enough time to go through all of the details today, but you want to go read the Coors Conundrum. How can the Rockies win consistently at altitude by Manny Randhawa here? He is, we all know Manny does great stuff, and we all know Manny knows his Rockies as well. So we're going to talk about that coming up as well, because it's not as simple as just altitude and the ball flies further. He basically breaks down. Before we get to the game, I'll just summarize kind of the main key points. Yes, the science behind why does the ball travel different, but it's also the dimensions of Coors Field. It's also the wear and tear on players. There's a really interesting line about, and true native Coloradans can relate to this. There's a whole line basically saying about how players don't actually have the full time to acclimate to altitude, because it usually takes 2 weeks to do that. The longest homestands are 10 days. And then it's the back and forth and the back and forth and the back and forth. There's a lot of stuff in this piece that, while it doesn't excuse everything, it, I think, gives a lot more. It gives a scientific explanation for some things. And it provides examples from very big names from the team. So we'll go through that here coming up in just a little bit. And of course, we got YouTube comments to talk about here, because you folks keep tuning in, keep letting me know what's on your mind, so we keep talking about it. So, all right, yesterday, what was the big story of the game from yesterday? Well, the Rockies were able to use the long ball yesterday. Sam Hilliard, that had to feel good for him as he's continuing to try to find his spot there. Jordan Beck picking up a couple of base knocks as well, including that bomb as well. Michael Toglia, holy smokes, folks. I mean, if you can find a video of it, that's one of those, that's a Michael Toglia swing. That's the, like, if you're a fan, if you're someone that's bullish on Toglia, if you're someone that's excited by Toglia, that's the type of swing you're like, whoa. I mean, that ball was crushed. I mean, absolutely crushed on a beautiful swing there. The Rockies responding to, after letting up a couple of bombs themselves. German Marquez says he's feeling kind of normal, feeling good. Likes the fact that he was getting challenged by some good hitters on that team as well. German in that game, 4 2/3, 6 hits, 3 earned, a walk, and 3 strikeouts there. A lot of, the kind of a 4 walks from the pitching staff. Diego Castillo responsible for 2 of those walks. But some good clean baseball from Tyler Kinley, Luis Peralta, and Angel Shavihi, and Victor Vodnik as well. Shavi giving up an earned run. I think that was a home run, I believe. I can't remember. But yeah, this was a game where you're like, okay, nice. This was one that you feel a nice little bit of confidence in, and you like what you saw a little bit. But again, it's just kind of at this point where it's just like, all right, it's still spring for me, right? It's let's still transfer this power over. There's still, as we mentioned, plenty of warning signs about the offense. But we'll take dubs. Again, that long ball, the extra base hit is going to just be such a game changer for the Rockies this year. They have to be a team that gets aggressive and puts the ball, and not only hits the ball, but hits the ball for those extra bases. It doesn't have to just be home runs. It's just hits in general. But I don't know, where it's still something where, well, it remains to be seen how it will go in the regular season, as the Rockies here heading into their final, what is this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spring training games left. So basically a week of spring training baseball to go. Not really, though, when you're talking about length. The spring training wrapping up on Tuesday, of course, with opening day on Friday. Yes, Friday for the Rockies, in case you forgot. But just to go down the rest of the box score there, 7 runs on 9 hits and an error for the Rockies, putting up 3 in the bouncing back there. Like I said, Rockies, Herman gives up those earned runs a little early there, going down too early. But the Rockies right back on the board, right back to answering right there. And then a 3 spot in the 5th with and that's all they needed to hold on there. If you're curious and you're keeping a track on the Rockies strikeout totals and how badly are they striking out still, 14 times they struck out yesterday. 14 times. Like that's like, I know it's spring, but I'm looking at the roster for who played for the Rockies, and I'm kind of thinking most of these names I'm seeing, there's a good chance that they're playing. Not all of them, though, because, you see your Cole Carrick, you see your Aaron Schunk, Owen Miller, Skylar Messenger, Trevor Boone, and Julio Correas. They were in the lineup, but we saw Estrada, Veen, Goodman, Tolia, Beck, Hilliard. Those guys are all possible players in the for the Rockies this year. These are all possible options for the Rockies this year. And for it to, again, be another big strikeout day, it's just like, it's what a way to just to really like slam the brakes on momentum for spring training wins, right? I mean, I know it's not the only thing that happened, of course, with some really good swings, but man, the strikeouts are just, the strikeouts will be like nails on a chalkboard every single time. But let's not let that take away from the fact that the Rockies were able to get the job done with the long ball and doing it well that way. Only 2 walks for the Rockies yesterday, as well, as they go up against Kumar Rocker, and of course Estrada. There's a piece also from Harding just highlighting his bad luck. He got hit by a pitch in a weird way. He's unfortunately, if you're Estrada, you're sitting there saying, oh, dang it, I know I'm trying to stay healthy here, but all these weird things keep happening. I get hit with a ball on a pickoff attempt, and then I get, I got hit in the wrist. It's just like, oh my goodness. Like, it's that is frustrating. And I really do hope, as the Rockies are going to have to wait and see on that, see how he is. But it sounds like it wasn't like catastrophic, but there is sounds like some discomfort, some swelling, some stuff like that they got to deal with. I didn't remember seeing that it was actually a big injury stuff. Let's see here what Thomas Harding has to say. Let's see. He was hit by a pitch from Rangers' Kumar Rocker while leading off the first inning of the Rockies' 7-4 victory at Surprise Stadium. Estrada stayed in, stole a base, and played defense, but was removed before his next turn to bat. The Rockies announced the injury as a wrist contusion, and Estrada was sent for X-rays. Injuries always hurt and are doubly troublesome as the regular season approaches. Estrada signed as a free agent during the offseason and is not worried about the unexpected bump. On Saturday, he was making a tag on White Sox Michael A. Taylor in Glendale, Arizona. Taylor's foot connected hard with the back of Estrada's neck. There isn't a baseball apparatus to protect that. Estrada had no interest in extra padding for his batting helmet. It's something you can't control, something you don't expect to happen, so hopefully I'm okay now, Estrada said. They had to explain to me what happened on the play because that kind of thing doesn't happen to you usually in that location. But the last few days have become a whack-a-body for Estrada. After being drilled in the arm by Rocker, Estrada slammed his helmet in disbelief that he had another injury so immediately. This time of spring, I hate that, Rockies manager Bud Black said. All the coaches and I and all the players just hold our breath and hope that he's fine. Yeah, that's, kind of, I think that's what you got to do. Just taking too many shots there for Estrada for us not to be at least a little concerned about it. But sounds like he's in the right spirits, and we'll see as the developments happen on that throughout the weekend there. But what do you want to see from the Rockies over the last bit of spring training? Do you want to see it? Does a player need to make one final push in order to get that spot? Do you think the Rockies will go with the young guys in right field? What do you think will happen over the Rockies' final few days of spring? Let me know in the comments below. We are going to take a break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to dive into the Coors Field Conundrum here a little bit, and we're going to talk about that coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes FanDuel. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. They're also our title sponsor of this episode, by the way. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. Maybe you're interested in getting involved in some baseball futures as well as they're coming up. Rockies win totals or home run totals. Go check out all the options for yourself. And if you have your eye on something, FanDuel makes it easy to pick with spreads, totals, and game props with tournament action happening so often, especially this weekend. I mean, it is basketball. FanDuel's got you covered on the simple-to-use, easy app, and when you win, you get paid instantly, no waiting around. So visit FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. We're also brought to you by Gametime. There's nothing like the energy of an MLS match, the chance, the atmosphere, the last-minute goals. If you want to experience it all live, Gametime makes getting tickets easier than ever with last-minute deals, all-in pricing. Yes, all-in pricing, so no surprises there. And a lowest price guarantee. Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying MLS tickets. Plus, ticket prices actually drop as kickoff gets closer, so you can score amazing seats at great prices. Not only is it easy and affordable and offers you peace of mind with their event cancellation protection and even job loss assurance, they got you covered because when you're buying the seat, you're going to get a picture. You're not going to get just a picture. You're going to get a whole view. You're going to know exactly where you're sitting and what you're spending your money on. No sneaky little foul poles or, weird seats where you're just shoved behind something that you can't see anything. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast for free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk. Shouting out to our everydayers and shouting out to all of y'all for checking us out here on the Locked On Rockies podcast. Thank you again for tuning into the show and joining us here. And shout outs to, again, the Locked On Rockies YouTube comment section. We'll be reading your comments here in just a moment. But we got to talk about science. Science. I'm not a scientist, folks. I'm not a physicist. I have not studied in these areas. So please keep that in mind when we're talking about this. But I'm telling you, folks, on your lunch break, over the weekend, whatever, if you're curious about the Rockies, and if you're curious about why their environment and why they play differently, have different conditions than other teams do, then you have to go read this piece from Manny Randhawa here. The Coors Conundrum. How can the Rockies win consistently at altitude? What's really cool about this piece is Manny goes and he talks to Jim Leland. He talks to Bud Black. He talks to Bill Schmidt. He talks to Dan O'Dowd. He talks to Jeff Bridich. He talks to Mike Hampton. He talks to a ton of people here that go and really dive in to explain why it's so different here and what makes it so frustrating. It isn't just simply that the altitude makes it, and there's a whole thing that goes in and talks about the physics of why the ball moves less here at Coors, which is clearly something there that you explain. Here's something here. Let's see. This is from Dan O'Dow. There are a ton of baseball players there are a ton of baseball people who you'll talk to who will have answers and solutions. And why don't they do this? And why don't they do that? And I'm telling you, until you walk in the people's shoes who are actually attempting to do it, it's just really hard to quantify and wrap your arms around. Quite honestly, I don't know if I'm any closer to the truth than I was 25 years ago. My experience of altitude baseball is just completely one of humility. Here's what Jim Leland said. When I was there, the ballpark really beat up the manager and the pitching staffs of Jim Leland, who managed the club in 1999. It was just so wearing on the pitchers as well as really the whole club. I think I was a pitcher's manager, and I just didn't feel like I was going to be very good at managing a pitching staff there. So, of course, what this highlights is what is different about Coors Field and the Rockies is that no team has to deal with such drastic stuff. No team has to deal with not only that, but self-created issues as well. I mean, because basically they said, hey, let's make Coors Field a bigger outfield to negate some of this, some of the impacts of the physics, right? But it's created the most hitter-friendly ballpark. And I think when people hear that, right, and there's a really, I'm going to find the stat here that kind of highlights this. I'm coming up here. When you hear the phrase hitter's ballpark, I think a lot of people think, especially outside of the, maybe they're not following the Rockies all the time. They think home runs. They think, the big flies, the big damage dealers. But no, it's just hits in general. Here we go. Back from the piece here. The ballpark's dimensions were designed based on the notion that a larger outfield would help offset the climate's impact on offense. And it did, in one sense. Contrary to popular perception, Coors is not an extreme home run park. Over the past 3 seasons, it ranks 8th in home run park factor per StatCast. But it's not just about homers. Coors is the runaway leader in park factor for hits of any kind, ranking as the friendliest park by far for singles and triples, second only to Fenway for doubles. As a result, Coors regularly has the highest batting average on balls in play of any park in the big leagues. 330 last season. Arizona's Chase Field was second at 316. The plight of pitchers at Coors has been well known and well documented, but what has been a bit obscure, though it received more attention in recent years, is the difficulty hitters have after leaving Denver. They call it the Coors hangover. So that's just a little bit. I think again, it's the ball moves different, and then it's literally this environment that is created that if you are not strong on defense, if you are not a good defender, then and you're not able to keep the ball down or have them miss the ball, you're in trouble. How many Coors Field shootouts have started because we've seen the extra base hits in the gaps? We've seen singles down the line. I mean, you know how crazy things can get at Coors, and it's not just a home run derby. I think that's what I think is so good to remind people, that it's just because you're hitter-friendly ballpark, just because you're Coors Field, it's not the home runs that are the big difference maker. It seems like it's the home runs because it's mixed in with a pitching staff that gives up a lot of home runs, but it's the fact that it's the extra base hits, it's the singles, it's the walks that you allow and then are driven in by the extra base hits, the hitting, the improved hitting in general. Remember, 330 on a batting average there. What was that? 330 for balls in play. That's if you were batting 330 on a season, you'd be ecstatic. You'd be feeling really, really good if you were batting 330 like that. So there's those dimensions to worry about. And then what I really think is so important here, and Mike Hampton gives some really great quotes in this. And let's see here. I want to read this one here. My very first start for Colorado, I went into the 9th inning against St. Louis, he said. That night, I was feeling on top of the world. The next morning, I felt like I had gotten run over by a train. I really did not understand how many parts of my body could hurt from just pitching. So there's this whole physical side that the Rockies haven't been able to work and figure out. I mean, and it's clear. I mean, you can see how I mean, the baseball season's exhausting, but you can see and athletes at altitude know how exhausting it is to be at Coors Field or to train there. Why do you think the Olympians go down to Colorado Springs and train there? You know, like, it's harder to do things here at Coors Field, especially when you're going up and down and you're already going through the grueling travel and the gruelingness of an MLB season. These external factors, when you're huffing more air, when your body's working harder, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to work out for you. And I like and that leads exactly into Mike Hampton here. Hampton's philosophy when he was faced with adversity, because it talks about how he was dealing with the issues after his first season, was to work harder. So he hit the weight room harder, ran harder, and did everything he could do to condition himself better. But that only made things worse. The harder I worked, Hampton said, the results just didn't get there. It wasn't from a lack of trying. Keith Duggar, who has been with the Rockies organization since its inception, and he's been Colorado's head athletic trainer for the last 21 years, he said that while it may be counterintuitive, training harder can be counterproductive in the Coors climate. You don't want a player to overwork or overpractice when you're at altitude, Duggar said. We've learned over the years that your glycogen, I think I said that right, glycogen? Yeah. Levels burn faster at altitude. The way I describe glycogen is like your fuel tank for an athlete. You need to keep that fuel tank going all through the game, right? So that's why you'd see Charlie Blackmon eating protein bars in the middle of a game, along with some kind of electrolyte. We want to keep the fuel tank on a higher octane at a higher level. As the season wears on and the temperature heats up, players at altitude tend to wear out. When you get fatigued and it starts getting hot, you lose your appetite, and now your fuel tank is low, and now you're just exhausted because you don't want to eat. On top of that, and here's I think, when you're looking for something that could stick out as just like an ultimate small thing that it can kind of reshape your perception a little bit, is this part right here. On top of that, Duggar says that players competing at Coors Field can never get truly acclimated to the climate because it takes at least 2 weeks for the body to adjust. The longest homestand in a season is typically 10 games. Duggar said that the body's red blood cells aren't carrying the same amount of oxygen at altitude, and as a result, muscle recovery following the breaking down of muscles during athletic competition is slower than at sea level. Like, it's not an excuse, right? But what this highlights is the fact that this is a unique environment that does take creative approaches here. Because that is true. Anybody that and I got to deal with it now when I go back. I've barely get to go back to Colorado now, so it's like when I go back, I have to worry about this. If you can't truly get acclimated to the altitude, if you've never really truly gotten used to the altitude, it will mess with you physically. There is no way around that. Mixed with hottest time of the year, summer, the grind of all that. This stuff all makes total sense, right? And it kind of gives you a little bit more of I like this piece because it gives a little bit more insight into just how difficult it is to be here, and how much of a challenge it has been for the GMs, and how much of a strain that it takes. The one thing that we can give props for Bridich in, as mentioned in this article, is he looked at and saw the mental impact of that the game and that Coors Field was having, and he emphasized making sure that the Rockies were taking care of that and helping with that, because that is a key big part. But all of this stuff is to say, all of this stuff that is key. And Mike Manny points out to what can be successful, what will be successful, and some of the managers and some of the people that have had success bring up their things. But this is why I preach the creativity. This is why I preach that the Rockies need to start figuring out something different. And again, it's me sitting here literally doing what the article says and saying it's so easy for people to just sit there and win at Coors Field. I am totally acknowledging that I am doing that right here. But this is why I emphasize the creativity, because the Rockies are a unique environment. They need a creative solution. They haven't been able to find a consistent one yet, as they're dealing with physical impacts that other teams don't have to deal with. Pitch is not moving as much as they've had to do. and every other altitude XYZ reason under the sun. So it is easy for me to sit here and say, well, just figure it out and not offer an actual solution. But this is why you invest in the analytics team. This is why you start taking creative approaches and building things like, hey, we're not going to go super heavy, like the Chris Bryant approach. Now we've heard he's gone heavy and building strength up the whole season. Was that as important as maybe the flexibility, the movement and stuff like that? It isn't going to just be sign a pitcher, bring in a pitcher, or hope the Rockies offense reignites itself. For the Rockies to be a consistently good team, it is going to take creativity, it's going to take some science, and it's going to take luck mixed in with their development abilities, because that's also highlighted there. Folks, I didn't even get to touch the surface of everything that Manny dives into in that piece. I implore you to go read it. Not that it's like just because it just provides so much great context, and it's so many good quotes and so much good looks inside to the organization of just how difficult this environment is, and how many factors go into that. But I do believe, just like they mentioned at the end of the piece, that there is a path to success here. Clint Hurdle kind of mentions about how in 2007 it was the pieces were, every single person had a weapon or a tool and they used it, and that's what helped them. And I think the Rockies are gonna just have to become. It's like we're gonna have to use the strength of Tovar and Doyle and lean on the defense of Ryan McMahon and kind of put the pieces together to Voltron a winning season. That's kind of what it seems like they're trying to do. But please go read that piece, the Coors Conundrum, there on the Rockies website, MLB.com/Rockies. It's awesome. It's a really, really good piece, and I'm telling you, you're going to learn a lot. All right, let's take your YouTube comments, and let's finish up the show right here on today's episode of Locked On Rockies.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
Golly, how fun is this weekend, man? March Madness. I don't watch college hoops up until basically this weekend, but man, is it fun. Just nonstop games, nonstop craziness. And Locked On's got you covered with great work there. So make sure we're checking that out. All right, let's read some YouTube comments here to finish up the show. Moon Unit says, on the off topic of bunting, Rymack laid one down for a single with runners on, if I remember correctly, 2 seasons ago, and it was a huge surprise. Bunting can and should happen, but it should never be expected. I think what made bunting boring in the past was that it was never a surprise, especially with pitchers hitting. In certain situations, you just bunted and everyone knew that was coming. In today's game, it's a sneaky good play to pull at least a handful of times every season. I'm with you on that. I think that's a really good way to look at it too. And we've seen bunts happen a couple of times, but yeah, it is those surprise, like, hey, whoa, where did we see that coming? It is a nice little kind of it's a good tool to have in your toolkit, absolutely, especially with some of the speed that the Rockies have on their team. But I'm just such a meathead, see ball, hit ball, crush the ball, yes type of that's how I always play it. So it's always like I am a bunting is boring, but bunting is very effective. So is small ball here. Timothy Adams says it's a big year for the organization. I can see if there's not an improvement in terms of the young players stepping up, we'll probably see a new manager and general manager. Zach V needs to make the opening day roster. Also for fantasy, I agree. Tolia is a good one, and Nolan Jones as a bargain bench player. TK says, I'm proud I've been Goodman's bandwagon driver on here and love him and Tolia to have 30-plus home runs. Good day for Hunter Goodman yesterday for sure. They will both bring back the days of old with power this year. Love the optimism. One thing we got Rockies fans that never give up, basically, which is good to see, and that would be massive. I mean, if Tolia and Goodman are able to really break out on offense, I mean that would be a massive win for the Colorado Rockies, a huge win for them. G says, I've been a Goodman advocate for a while now. I'm also a fan of Stallings. Goodman being Stallings' backup stuff seems to like a good fit for 2025. I asked for small ball in a previous post. Lo and behold, Veen laid down a perfect bunt after struggling at the plate tonight. His power and speed mixed with bunting ability are positive attributes that may not show up in player stats. It was a fun game to watch. The Rangers commentators managed to be disrespectful to the Rocks while they gave up 4 home runs and their pitchers missed the strike zone by 50 feet. Plenty of excuses offered. The first pitcher gave up 3 steals because he was honing his craft. Give me a break. Keep it up, Rocks. Hey, there we go. I didn't hear that part of the stuff, but I maybe I should do it more. I don't listen to a lot of other teams' broadcasts. Maybe that's a bad thing, but I don't. I just throw on Jack and Jerry, and that's all I need. Marco says, bring on the youth movement. Would love to see Dolander make the opening day roster, but I think ownership will start him in the minors so that his service clock doesn't start and they'll get an additional year out of him before free agency. Also, definitely need to move away from the 3 true outcomes ideas, especially with the spacious outfield of Coors to drive extra base hits to. Thanks again, Paul. You're welcome. And thanks you all for listening. Got a really good text about what the Rockies might want to do with Chase Dolander from my main man, Jambron, but we ran out of time. But basically, to summarize that, and maybe something I'll dive into next week as the real decisions are going to be made, we don't need to rush Chase. We might want to let that strength build up a little bit more. There is some time. It's going to be okay. But also, maybe middle of the season makes more sense. I can dive more into that later because we are out of time, and that means the weekend is here, folks. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much for making Locked On Rockies your first listen of the day, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, and, of course, on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel where you can fire off your Rockies hot takes. You can let me know what's on your mind when it comes to the Colorado Rockies and lots more. First listen of the day is us. Thank you so much for making it. Wow, what a weird sentence I did. Thank you for making us your first listen of the day. For your second listen of the day, go check out Locked On MLB. And if you are drafting your fantasy baseball teams, Locked On Fantasy Baseball has got you covered, making sure that you are drafting the right players for your team. Until next time, folks, make sure that you're staying tuned here and go check out Locked On Broncos, Avalanche, Nuggets, Buffs. We got you covered here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Until next time, this is Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.